Hey guys, thank you so much for joining this podcast. For those who do not know me, my name is Arkam Chima, your very own sales guy and the co-founder of Captains Limited. And today we have Neil Swa with us from the Voltage LLC. And today he's going to share a lot of gold nuggets with us. Hello, Neil.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for having me on the call.
Okay, so today's topic is all about how you can launch, grow, scale, and generate a profitable exit strategy for your brand. So let's
Absolutely.
let's just start with from scratch, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So I won't bore you with my background or details just yet. So let's get into the content and then we can talk a little bit maybe about who I
Cool.
am. And at some point, I
Hmm.
might want to learn about that. And that's okay if you don't either. What's more
Sure.
important is that we're here to share some value today, give you some information, share some topics, maybe
Hmm.
some things you've heard, maybe some things you haven't. And so I'm
Hmm.
hoping to kind of, take the lead on that. And if you have any questions, we can go down any particular rabbit holes you might want. So just go ahead and ask the
Hmm.
questions along the way. I'll tell you a little bit about what I think from my experience in past in ecom. I've been doing ecom for more than 15 years, specifically channel
Hmm.
focused the last 10 years on Amazon FBA, and then multi-channeling brands that incubate within Amazon and test well to the market of 7 or 8 figures. And then we move those into multi-channel
Hmm.
website, etc. So I'm
Okay.
multi-channel focused, not just only Amazon. I do not believe you should just only have an Amazon FBA business. While those can sell well, and there's aggregators and other proof that that's a great market
Hmm.
opportunity, I do believe multi-channel is where it's at. Why? Because the business is worth more in the end than any time during its business building phase. So
Yeah.
we have to remember revenue is vanity. So we're not going to talk a lot about revenues. If I do, I'll mention what profit share is actually taken from those, because again, who really cares about revenue if you're not making profit? Profit is
Hmm.
sanity. Pays yourself, pays
Yeah.
your business, gives you opportunity. And of course, cash flow is king, which is the beauty of these businesses once the organic growth and kicks in and your brand becomes more
Okay.
recognizable across the platform. And there's a lot of cash flow to be had on a consistent basis. So that's one of the
Hmm.
reasons why we love this business, why we got as business builders into e-commerce more and more. And then got into the Amazon channel because it was in its sort of infancy. It was growing. It was pre-marketers back in 2011 when I started playing on it. And I've watched a lot of things change as we saw drop shipping and wholesale retail arbitrage and stuff all kind of kick up in this thing. But there was a whole
Hmm.
undercurrent of us still doing private label, not following
Okay.
those trends. And now that we see that trend completely dropping off, and you see the automations and the Walmart things and all this stuff really starting to finally be exposed for what they have been exposed as, and what I've been talking about this for 5 years on my YouTube channel about
Cool.
those whole things. And now we're basically coming back to true business building is private label branding. And if you want to start on the Amazon
Hmm.
channel, that's a great place to get started, especially if you have zero or novice experience in selling with private label. So
Hmm.
there's like 4 or 5 topics I'd love to just kind of break down through this conversation if you would allow me. And
Sure.
the
Sure.
first one is going to be in regards to the products. Product is key.
Okay.
Product will
Yeah.
make or break the business. And
Hmm.
it's, what the hell do I sell literally on the platform? And so I'll just give you
Hmm.
some criteria that I use as we attack a business or approach a business growth from either one of our clients or one of the brands that we're building and growing ourselves. We have multiple brands across segments from
Hmm.
Shopify to Amazon that we're growing in different ways, companies we've built into or bought into, and of course, other companies we're looking to acquire as well. But the
Okay.
product itself is really the fundamental base of that. It has to have some independence of operation, meaning it can't be too complex or require too much customer support. Okay. It doesn't necessarily
Hmm.
need to require a lot of iterative changes, even iterative innovation in changes. So, for example, we
Hmm.
won't sell in electronics due to the constant requirement, customer support, manufacturing defects, and constant innovations you need to stay in that don't allow you to sell for years without having to constantly
Hmm.
reinvent that product. So I like to keep
Okay.
things pretty simple, stupid. I would consider myself to some degree a very lazy marketer, which is why I love the opportunity that Amazon provides for people who have kind of zero experience or, again, even some novice experience trying this model out. But at the end of the day, we
Okay.
have to train our brain to understand what a good product is. And that's really kind of a fundamental of the business. And I know so many people say, well, I understand the fundamentals. Why? Teach me something I don't know. But at the same time, with
Hmm.
76% of all Amazon sellers failing in the first year, they miss the fundamentals of product research. So let's get
Okay.
that broken down. What does it mean? It means my product needs to have upside potential. It needs to be evergreen or blue sky. It needs to have criteria of profitability. that means that I can compete successfully in the marketplace. And what I mean by that
So
is,
if I cut, sorry for cutting you off,
yeah,
I have
go
like
ahead.
a crucial question. While selecting your products, what's the priority? You have to make sure that it's for both like Amazon and Shopify as well, or for Amazon is the priority.
Its
Because some
upside
of the products,
potential must have multi-channel capability. It should not just be a
okay.
product that is channel locked on Amazon only, because that is
Mm-hmm.
completely possible. You might think your product sitting here on Amazon that you're selling and is starting to do very well has the
Mm-hmm.
capability of channeling out to another marketplace or even into a paid traffic Shopify website. You need to
Okay.
have qualified that through your competition research and product research before you launch that product. Okay. It needs to have
Okay.
profitability and the upside potential of reaching multiple channels. Don't just channel lock yourself on Amazon. And this is a
Mm-hmm.
mistake I've seen a number of amateur sellers make. They get to a decent level on Amazon, and then every attempt to get it out to the regular market beyond Amazon, the
Mm-hmm.
direct to
Mm-hmm.
consumer or DTC market, it simply doesn't work. They don't have enough
Okay.
profitability. They don't have the right message. They're not having an audience and conversation topic with folks, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not really understanding the sales or the psychology of the buyer on that other channel. They may have got the
Mm-hmm.
psychology of the buyer on Amazon a little better, but they never really thought about how do I multi-channel this? And why is that
Yeah.
important? Because in business building, we need to look at profitability first. We need to look at growth and scalability next. And then we need to look at upside potential and exit potential third. Okay. As I
Mm-hmm.
look at
Mm-hmm.
that business, that means that I'm willing to deploy more capital into the market at the very, 90 and 120 days out to market than most sellers are willing to do, because my end
Mm-hmm.
game is profitability, growth, scale, and exit. So I'm willing to look for
Excellent.
multi-seven or eight figures, which means I'm approaching the market with a very different go to war mindset, right? I
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of folks not recognizing that this battle place in the market is a war, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
battle. They think they can just walk in, and this is like the Matrix, and they can fly around the room and shoot everything, and they're going to be awesome. That doesn't exactly happen in the way
Yeah.
that they think. So if you're going to market with maybe one product, one variation, and it's a 1999 product, you and I are not competing in the same market. Okay. My
Mm-hmm.
products will
Mm-hmm.
typically have 50 to 100 or up to 300 in retail, and they are required to have a
Ooh.
minimum of $12 in net profit per unit after all costs, goods, manufacturing
Mm-hmm.
defects, marketing, PPC
Yeah.
costs, and everything
Yeah.
else are on top of it.
Because it's like quite hard to advertise those products on like Shopify or other platforms which have like it's hard to like advertise them because you won't get profitable if you're going for Facebook or even Instagram, TikTok. After
You
like a
might
couple of
find your
clicks.
ad costs for capitalizing that one first click to sale could be
Mm-hmm.
$30, $35, and you may
Yeah.
acquire a customer, and that's a win, but your product
Mm-hmm.
retail price might be $24.99. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, you don't have the profit to that. And if you aren't smart at
Mm-hmm.
email and SMS marketing, and you don't understand how to set up a secondary upsell or any other of the technical
Mm-hmm.
requirements for ecom on that channel, you're simply not going to see that initial click to sale as profitable, and you're going to give up. Now, I would look at that
Mm-hmm.
and say, I made a customer acquisition. I'm winning. So how do I make that customer's lifetime value more profitable? How do I increase their average order value and get them to buy more
Mm-hmm.
products? So I've got to have email,
Mm-hmm.
SMS, retargeting, and other things in place so
Okay.
that I can acquire that customer for $30, even if they bought a $24.99 product, because I know the next
Mm-hmm.
time they're going to buy is going to make it profitable. And if I can
Profitable.
do that
Okay.
in days to weeks,
Mm-hmm.
I now have a business
Mm-hmm.
model, right?
Okay. So
And so people really need to think about the whole click to sale and secondary sale and tertiary sale. What does that mean
okay.
for me on Amazon? I can explain some of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
For products. So I don't want to interrupt. If you got questions or people are asking,
No,
just
no.
raise
No,
your
no.
hand and say
We can
something that
we can
interrupts me.
we can just answer those questions in the end of the podcast. No
Okay,
worries.
fantastic. We'll get to them, folks. I don't mean to miss it. If I'm missing it, I'll get back to it in a minute.
No worries.
But at the end of the day, I need to know that those products have that potential. It has more profitability. Typically, I'm going to want to see 20 to 40 or
Mm-hmm.
more dollars in profit per unit so that I can go
Okay.
to market and I can really look at that acquisition and that first click to sell acquisition, because at that point, I've established the first step of a brand where
Mm-hmm.
additional 2, 3, 4, 5, 50 products branded in the market will add in that additional brand revenue at the back end on Amazon for my business. And that's not just
Mm-hmm.
on the site, but that's QR marketing code, email marketing, and retargeting stuff, or AdWord click traffic or TikTok traffic that I can pull back into that
Mm-hmm.
environment of that Amazon store and increase my back end profits by getting them to buy additional products or higher order values within Amazon's system. Okay.
Okay.
So what I'm
Mm-hmm.
targeting then as a base of customers is a 12-month CLTV, customer lifetime value of 12 months, at a
Mm-hmm.
minimum of $1,000. Because if I look at
Okay.
Amazon's own proven stats, 100 million of its Prime members spend more than $1,000 a year within Amazon. So if
Okay.
I'm only selling 2 or 3 products that equate to what? A one-time a year purchase of $50, maybe a two-time a year purchase of $100, I'm nowhere near
To
my
them.
true market opportunity in Amazon. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going in to deploy multiple products and what I call my 5x5 game plan, which means I'm going to launch a minimum of 5 SKUs with variations that may add up to 25 or more additional products in the marketplace because I'm
Mm-hmm.
going after a 12-month customer lifetime value of $1,000 in my brand because they're buying those
Okay.
products from someone else on Amazon already. So what does
Mm-hmm.
that translate into in business? Well, just as one of my clients I was mentioning to you a minute ago, I got off the call just before I
Yeah.
jumped on here. He's now broke 2 million in revenues a year. He's doing just about average of 80,000 a month in profit, and he's about to increase that through additional product lines and stuff that are coming to market. He's just crushing it in
Okay.
16 months. Why? Because he went to market
Mm-hmm.
to go to battle. And now I've
Okay.
consulted with some of his competitors, and he is
Mm-hmm.
like less than 1% of the market share on Amazon yet, right? He's got
Okay.
huge
Mm-hmm.
upside. He has a $20 million upside potential for that business
Mm-hmm.
should he want to keep going at this current rate for the next 36, 48 months. It's completely doable.
Mm-hmm.
He has
Okay.
an
So
exit strategy in mind, though.
so if
We
you're
talked
cutting you
about
out, with how much investment did he start it? It's the
60,000
main
to
point.
start with, and then
Mm-hmm.
capitalize additional product needs from the
Mm-hmm.
demand of the business. So as he launched those products and went into the market, and he was at 30 and then
Mm-hmm.
64,000 a month, and literally within the first 45 days, the business
Cool.
demanded more capitalization, right? Because now he's
Mm-hmm.
selling products, and he went from having a few thousand units to ordering half a container to ordering
Okay.
multiple containers. So the business
That's
needed capitalized. It said, this is how
yeah.
much I need, and you got to capitalize that, whether you do it from
Mm-hmm.
OPM, whether you do it from cash
Okay.
lines, whether credit lines, you do it from networks, home offices, or wherever you can raise the capital from. The business does require
Mm-hmm.
that, and that's
Yeah.
what a lot of
Wow.
people miss on scale. They think it's great to
Mm-hmm.
get to 7 figures, which it is, but they also don't realize the amount of effort, time, and capital it requires, and of course the additional
Mm-hmm.
capital of operations it requires to make that net profit occur. So we're talking about
Okay.
scales of scope. We're talking about doing it yourself and done for you, and we're talking about these levels of knowledge within business. I don't think a lot of people get
Mm-hmm.
translated into these conversations. So it has to start
Okay.
again with that product and what I sell, but it also has to get down to the numbers. That's actually understanding how we as 7 and 8 figure sellers analyze scientifically the numbers to go by the numbers and determine that it pencils in profitability. Why is that all
Mm-hmm.
cost of goods and operational cost are included in each unit. So I can buy a new unit for every unit that sells, but I can also make profit and cover all my operational and have
Yeah.
potential for Amazon PPC campaigns or other traffic marketing campaigns to go out and
Mm-hmm.
continue to dominate my space. Now, I've
Okay.
actually got case studies that prove that when done correctly on Amazon, you can actually back down or even shut off your PPC campaigns. And I
Okay.
did a podcast just recently with Norm on his podcast.
Known for.
Uh, yep, you can go check it out. I've got 3 of them on there, but the last one talked about how we were able to shut down some of our PPC campaigns to 30, 40,000 a month and basically back those down to almost zero, but maintain our sales and ranking position due to how we are playing with the algorithm. Now, by
So
playing, I don't mean violating, and I don't mean black hat,
okay.
and I don't mean breaking the
Mm-hmm.
terms of service. I mean the algo wants to reward the best products and vendors who have the best numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And so if
Are you
you
dropping
are
any external traffic on it, or
no
no
external
traffic
traffic.
on?
So the end
Ooh.
result was Amazon's distribution and traffic system want to reward good brands and vendors who have certain metrics, both seller
Mm-hmm.
health, the obvious green lights. There's a lot of metrics
Mm-hmm.
they put in behind that they don't tell you about, right? They don't tell you
Okay.
about the metrics that have to do with ranking and algorithmic decision making and whether or not
Mm-hmm.
you as a vendor may not have more units than the current vendor just above you. And while your certain
Mm-hmm.
metrics of sales percentage and USP are great, even greater than the guy just ahead of you. If you don't have enough units to
Mm-hmm.
fulfill that, they won't level you up. So you've got to not only have the better metrics, you got to have more inventory because there's different things
Mm-hmm.
in the algo that are triggering you to get more distribution across their platform. So I think
Yeah.
it's always
Okay.
funny that people
Makes
come
sense.
in and say, well, I'm not getting enough traffic on Amazon, so I need to do all these outside marketing activities to get Amazon to give me more
Mm-hmm.
traffic. And that is just sales and marketing speaking.
Okay.
It's not actually
Okay.
fundamentals of business. If you are in a major market, one of the 6 major ones in Amazon, like home and kitchen and outdoor goods and patio and furniture and these other ones,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not selling 1 million a day, you're not the top dog. So that means
Okay.
the traffic is already there on Amazon. The sales
Mm-hmm.
are already there on Amazon. So I like to say this every once in a while on my podcast because I'm a country boy out here and we have a saying, you can't ride 2 horses with one ass. So at the end of the day,
Okay.
you're going to choose a course to ride. Start with the traffic channel where you know the competition is already making 2, 3, 10, 100 times what you're making in your current market opportunity, and stay focused on that until you take over that market share. Anything else you do, any other way you go by the numbers, any other outside marketing or other things you try to do are simply going to take away from that time and the knowledge and gaining that opportunity within that system. And those will be there later, and you'll have the profits to go pay other people to do it. And you don't do it yourself. That's true business building. Okay. So once we get
Okay.
through the numbers and we know the numbers are profitable, we know the upside potential, we know we have the ability to buy more customers from inside of that system, and we go through the 90-day launch process of doing that, I'm simply going to go in, and in the 10 competitors in which I'm competing for that product that I've identified, innovated, and am ready to go in, again, similarity and familiarity equals trust. So I've established a brand no one's ever heard of, and I'm going to come in and literally just make Amazon show me to all the other people buying those products. So I'm willing to come in at
Okay.
even up to 200% ACOS to go into that system and let the algorithm basically show me to more people who are buying that product from someone else already. The
Okay.
reverse effect of that is I will simply outspend you in the first 30, 60 days of my launch to prove to the algorithm that I'm the better product, the better metrics, the better profitability, the better all the metrics. And it will simply start rewarding me with more distribution. So my A-cost platform and the pendulum swing of organic will start to swing back the other direction. And as organic starts to take over PPC, I can decide to continue to lower PPC while watching my organic metrics go up. And maybe at some point find myself at 125% A-cost, but at 7% tacos. Because
Right.
organic is now setting it up there, but I'm staying at the top of that traffic. So I basically put my Amazon PPC on cruise control. Like when you're at 70 miles an hour on the road,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I'm on cruise. Okay, cool. I can flex that just a little bit. I could even turn it off and then watch for the next 30, 60 days to see how it goes. And if I start to derank a little bit because of competition or whatnot, I just turn it back
Yeah.
on and then I go right back up into that spot. So there's opportunities here to understand the product and the numbers. And most of you want to look at everybody else's products and say, well, what are they selling so I can learn how to sell? Man, there's millions of products. Okay. Follow the criteria I'm giving you. Okay. Don't go into electronics. Don't go into clothing. Don't go into supplements. Okay. Because pretty much everything on Amazon else you can do without all the other constrictions, issues, and triple letter alphabet government agencies trying to ride your business. And you have all this upside potential as long as the numbers pencil in correctly. You must
Yeah.
have more profitability in your product than $9 and $6 in profit per unit. If your products and research are penciling in at those numbers, go back to the drawing board and go find products where 10, 20, 30, $40 in profit are the final net profit numbers of every unit of the product you will potentially sell on Amazon. Then approach the
Actually,
market.
okay.
Okay.
Actually, I read this concept of going all out in the few like first 30, 60 days. I guess I heard like Gladys saying about it. Like it doesn't matter even if you are at 200 ACOS, doesn't matter because
No,
you have to convince Amazon that you are ready to spend and you are
that's right.
forced like you are
I'm
quite
the
serious
serious
about it.
player. I'm here to show you my numbers.
Yeah.
I'm better than the competitors in the top 3 tiers. If you just look at Amazon,
Yeah.
it usually has a 3-tier structure: low, medium, and high buyers, low, medium, and high traffic distribution.
Yeah.
Most people are operating in the low and don't even understand there's a mid or a high, and don't understand the metrics Amazon's system needs to see in order for you to start taking over those tiers. So to break
Yeah.
in the first 30, 60, 90 days, to beat the first 3 competitors, remember I mentioned there's potentially 10 in this market segment, and I want to beat the first 3. I just wanted to know that the first 3 people in line based on the numbers of their business, okay, overall business, that I can beat those. If I
Yeah.
beat them, I'm now in organic. And from organic, Engine will now look at the next tier of sellers, okay, and will determine based on product, price, profit, inventory, velocity of sales, and all these other things, including your obviously the obvious green lights in your seller health dashboard, and determine whether or not you are the next traffic distribution. It is a 4,000 units a minute artificial intelligence just distributing product based on customer demand. So people think that, the customer per se is the one exactly driving my purchase decision, and you're actually wrong. It's Amazon's
Okay.
artificial intelligence that's driving the demand of the customer just in time to the right vendor with the lowest amount of returns, most maximum profitability, and all the right numbers to have that product delivered to the customer just in time, like 30 seconds or less. right?
Okay.
Get them to
Okay.
buy in 30
So
seconds or less.
so it's like it's all about patience. I have seen like medium or small level like sellers, they don't have that sort of patience. After like if they
No,
see
they don't
like
understand what it takes to go to war.
100 200 ACOS, they are like tripping over. And I have seen this strategy being used by aggregators mostly, because they are saying
Well,
like
aggregators may
go
have been, it may have did it, but remember, we've been doing this since 2011. Aggregators only showed up 2 years ago, three
yeah.
years ago. Some of those
Mhm.
people are using strategies that we innovated almost a decade ago for
Yeah.
the fundamentals of Amazon ranking and business products, right? Search and buy was
Mhm.
something that we innovated a long time ago, including the
Mhm.
ability for ranking engines and other things. Been around this block
Mhm.
for a long time. So the
Mhm.
end game is obviously the engine and its reward, which means I also need to know my brand and my competition. So I had a
Mhm.
product base, just to give you an example of a brand. It was a pet toy niche brand that we
Okay.
launched one night. I was up feeding my baby early at night, flipping through the infomercials. I had
Okay.
4 daughters in 4.5 years, so we didn't sleep for a decade. And one of those nights that I was up not sleeping and watching infomercials
Mhm.
at 3 in the morning, up pops this product called Seat Pets. And I'm out,
Okay.
kids, and we got car seats, and their kids' hands, heads are all hanging over. And here was this really
Yeah.
cool little infomercial about this doll that you
Mhm.
you put over the seat belt, and they could put their head on it. Got little carriers, little babies' heads would be propped
Okay.
up, and little
Uh-huh.
kids would be able to sleep in the car and not have their
Mhm.
head all jacked. A really cool little product. And like these people just
Mhm.
spent 500 to $1 million on an infomercial. There's got to be something to that product. I've never seen that before, and being a
Okay.
relatively new parent, I didn't really know what the market scope was. I had never looked into
Mhm.
it. Maybe these were, old school. I didn't even know, right? But I did
Yeah.
some product research and discovered they had a basic Amazon presence. And they had just launched not but a couple months ago into the full market and the infomercial marketing and all this marketing happening in the big world. And they had
Mhm.
somebody put
Mhm.
up some listings on Amazon, and it was okay. Even if
Okay.
it had been great, it was new to the market, and obviously it was a new segment. So I sent my partner this
Mhm.
information, and he says, "Give me a couple days, I'll come back and take a look at it." He comes back and he says, "Hey, I have an idea. My son is big into anime, and they have these big characters and
Yeah.
faces and stuff." And he said, "What if we took the like regular pets that look like pets, and we took the dog and the penguin and the bunny, and we
Mhm.
made them look a little bit more anime? We get their eyes a little bigger, we round their faces out, they look a little bit more
Mhm.
anime." I'm like, "That's a brilliant idea. Let's go test that out." So
Oh,
knowing they
that's
had spent
nice.
$1 million in the info marketing, we bought 2,000
Mhm.
units of that product, and we launched it with great little pictures, literally shot from an iPhone, of
Mhm.
kids loving this in the car. And we put a decent, I think it was a decent listing, and we got a little better with the listing later on. Not even a great listing, just a decent listing. And
Mhm.
so we launched this into the market. 8 days later, all 2,000 units are gone. So all we did was launch it
Woo.
in the market, no PPC, no nothing, just literally ethically stealing the traffic that was flowing over from their brand launch and their infomercials. It was coming to
Mhm.
Amazon, and we simply put our products in a better place. We called it Belt Buddies, which was the
Okay.
competition to Seat Pets. Okay, and we
Okay. So,
trademarked it.
mhm.
Yeah.
How was your production like? Production. How did you like convey it to the supplier? And was it a disaster, or you
No,
handled it
it
like
went off
easily?
relatively smooth. They had some great samples made for us in a few days. They were hand stitched. They
Mhm.
were just prototypes, and we're like, "Hey, those look
Mhm.
really great. Let's get 2,000 of those and go to market."
Okay.
We had to slightly innovate the product on the second batch because we made the seams a little stronger. We made the pocket a little bigger. We just we'd listened to some of the feedback, and we made some small adjustments. And
Okay.
then literally we got the next 2,000 units back from that same manufacturer. And then we sold those out in a couple weeks. And so we just kept ordering 2,000 units, 2,000 units, and it just kept selling out, selling out. And we started to rank, and the reviews were coming in. These are better than Seat Pets. We love
Mhm.
Belt Buddies and people's pictures of their kids and cars. And I mean, it just took on a life of its own. But the
Mhm.
understanding is that you should not marry your product. Don't marry your product. There are plenty
Okay.
of other girlfriends in the market to go steal. There are plenty of product
Okay.
manufacturers and Shopify channels that don't have great Amazon presences. There are plenty of Amazon sellers out there that don't really know what they're doing, where you can make a simple, innovative spin on a
Mhm.
product and go back and ethically steal their traffic inside of Amazon, even free, or go in with PPC. The point is,
Mhm.
make the product profitable and then look for those opportunities. I'm not talking about trending products. These are more evergreen, blue sky. I'm not talking about fidget spinners and this kind of nonsense. Put some brain
Okay.
power into it and get the numbers right, and those opportunities will be everywhere. So we literally took a market that was innovating in there. And I know there's a bunch of these in Amazon. You may not believe me at this moment, but when you run the data, there are lots of these. There are plenty of sellers who have been in the market for 2 or 3 years who have just been there because they were first, not because they're best, which means there's a super
Okay.
opportunity to do slight innovations on products and come in and dominate them very quickly with our 90-day strategy. So the
Mhm.
last component is, how did that ranking actually work? How did Belt Buddies get above Seat Pets in the ranking? How did we optimize that correctly? Most Beginners or even course taking do-it-yourselfers don't really understand the market scope of what the engine's actually doing. They don't understand the distributions of tiers. They don't understand how much traffic is actually flowing through Amazon to their brands. So they do a lot of other activities masked as productivity off Amazon, trying to positively infect the engine. And quite honestly, so much of it is done right within the engine, within your listing, within your marketing on Amazon. Okay. And so if you truly unlock all this and understand what keywords of broad scope are and phase, and of course, exact match, and you really understand your market segment, what node you should actually be within, not your department, category, or subcategory, but what node should I actually be properly aligned to match expectations and become a hyper relevant listing. Belt Buddies was a hyper relevant product in the market segment within its specific categorization on Amazon correctly for a toy, stuffed toy. And because of these things, the listing and the product became hyper relevant. Okay. Hyper relevancy to the engine means that based on that customer demand coming in for those products, shifting through thousands of them a minute, it is going to determine that you are the most relevant product for that customer demand. And then it will simply place you in front of that customer. In some cases, before the customer even saw the competitor, right? And in a lot of cases, when done correctly, the customer thinks they're seeing a product selection, but in actuality, Amazon knows that this is the product most in demand by them and will simply show that product to them more in different searches and give them more distribution.
I have a question here. I have a question. It was a new product, right? It was a new product, new concept.
Yes.
How did you identify the search terms in the early stage? Like how people are like searching it on Amazon?
Yeah, so product research is a component of that. You can use the different systems. We have a specific way that we analyze data from both Helium 10 and emergent words and other data sources, because not a single data source can you trust 100%. Doesn't matter if you're looking at Jungle Scout or Six Leaf or any of these other tools for data sets. You have to understand they have an algorithm behind them that is programmed to do estimations, but can't give you exact. So you need to figure out a way to leverage an average of those and not trust a single tool. So in the keywords and research, we trust multiple tools of keyword data. We go through an algorithmic process to determine the relevancy of those keywords based on it. We then go back and research the market to see if we're as close as we can. And we come up with about 80% confidence between that data, the product, the market, the numbers, et cetera, and the competition research to launch that product successfully. Now, we will test market and then launch on larger test volumes once initial numbers have proven themselves. What can that look like? Okay, Bry, one of my students, launched a new product in the marketplace, and in 3 days, he was doing 100 units a day with no sales. He nailed the hyper relevancy of the listing. He nailed the customer understanding. He nailed their buying points within it and the product valuation as well as the price point. And all of a sudden, it just took off. Like it took off so fast, he had not ordered enough units. And so he started to do a couple of tactics we taught him to lower it without decreasing his ranking. But in actuality, what happened is he found a new segment of his market at a higher price point. And so he could actually add more than $10 in retail cost per unit to his product, and it was still selling and increasing sales volume as he increased his prices. So these are one of the things we teach people to understand. You do not have to lower your price discount or run coupons against your products. We don't do any of that. We will go to market with our market value. We will not try to manipulate the engine. We will just get the engine to present the most hyper-relevant version of our product to the customer demand and prove to it that we're the most relevant. When you do that, it will unlock the traffic for you because it's already there, right?
But don't you think it's like a good marketing strategy that like you give some sort of discount, like a strike through, so it make people think that like it's a better offer as compared to the competitors?
Yeah, you don't always have to do that, but there's strategies to deploy that. I'm not saying it's wrong. It may be right for you. The end result is I won't coupon or discount a product beyond my profitability, even if it looks somewhat discounted to the customer. But I know a lot of people will say, well, we run these deals, we put ads and coupons out there, we'll get lists and we'll coupon our product and all that stuff. That devalues your brand. Well, I go the opposite direction. What does it take to increase the value of the brand perception so that someone will see the difference between buying a purse from Walmart and a purse from Coach?
Okay, yeah.
Right? The difference between a Toyota and someone buying a Ferrari, and Ferrari never markets. I'm going in that direction. And because of that, if you and I are going to compete in the market, okay, say you're launching a product and I'm launching a product and it's somewhat competitive, or I'm going into the market and you're already there, it's just a matter of time before I take over. And if you don't understand the market and strategy, I will eat your lunch. And then you're going to go out and realize, where's all my sales going? So I need to discount, market, and play that backpedaling game that a lot of sellers would do. I'm not going to play that game. I'm
I would
simply
I
going
would
to
mention one thing here that if you want to uh, position yourself as a close brand or a big brand, you have to
Yes,
make sure that your product is offering something extra. It's not something like similar to the other competitors. Your detail page is really really good, and it's reflecting how premium you are. You
that is
cannot just
correct. So
say
it's
like, yeah,
innovation, right? Not
yeah,
invention, which means I don't have to reinvent the product or really
yeah,
overthink this. What I need to do is go into Amazon and other markets where it's selling, and I need to
mm-hmm,
research the value of that product to its competitors and look at the
mm-hmm,
innovation angles that I can see identifying themselves. And that's part of training your brain to do that. It doesn't come natural for
okay,
everybody. You have to train
mm-hmm,
and condition your brain to see your environment very differently, right? We have to
mm-hmm,
move things that we currently may take into our brain at a subconscious state and move them into a
yeah,
conscious state. As I was mentioning with product research earlier, I call it the white car syndrome. I called it that for a long time. And it has to do with when you see certain things that become visible into your spectrum of consciousness and when you don't see them,
okay,
and why you didn't see them before and why you see them now. So example would be a guy goes down to buy a green car. He's got it picked out. He loves the car. It's like this Ford Explorer, and it's got the leather seats and the heated this and the rear view mirrors and all this wonderful stuff. And he goes down and there's the dealer. There's the car he wanted. It's so great. He goes to grab the car and he buys the car and is out in the car and he looks across the row and there's an exact same Explorer setting, same color, same look, same everything right in front of him. He walked past it like
yeah,
10 times, didn't notice it. Rolls it
mm-hmm,
off the lot. What does he see on the way off the lot? He sees 4 more of those same green Ford Explorers that he didn't see when he drove in. On his way home
yeah,
for 20 minutes, he sees 10 more of
mm-hmm,
them. Like did they just magically appear? Did the universe suddenly
no,
put these products in front of his path? No. His subconscious acknowledgement of that product moved into a conscious state of awareness. Okay. You can train your
that's
brain to consciously change and become adapted to the white cars that are all around you by starting to consciously train your brain to see things all around you. Once you train
mm-hmm,
that into somebody, once they understand the power of that, they will see product opportunities for a lifetime. Okay. They will see them everywhere. And as long as the numbers pencil in, excuse me, and as long as there is profit and upside potential with competition. Okay. We don't want to invent
mm-hmm,
something or put an innovation in the market that's not in the market right now, especially not on Amazon. All right. We need to
yeah,
have some competition in there. And we see that the opportunity is there for the profitability. We should test market that product, but we should be serious about test marketing it, not just dipping our toes in the water. Right. We
mm-hmm,
should seriously go in and look, okay, if I'm going to take this out, I want to see this product hit X amount. I know it's in the market. How am I going to do that? And that's a plan
mm-hmm,
that not everybody understands. But when
yeah,
you see it from that perspective of business building, it is the end in mind that I'm looking at. When a lot of people get in, they're short-sighted. They're looking at side hustles or hobby businesses. They're looking at what if I change my cash flow in the next 6 months? As a business-oriented minded builder and exiter of these brands as well as businesses in the past, I'm looking at what the end potential of this asset creation is. So I'm already 18 to 24 months out, and you're only 6 months out. Do you see the difference?
yeah,
There's a
yep,
big difference in what I'm willing to do to reach my 24-month mark that you're not willing to do because you're only looking at 6 months.
yeah, short-term
So
goals.
you need to extend your thought pattern into what does it take now to build this business so that my major payday will not just come from the cash flow that I could get out of this business, which can be good. It is what is the upside
Mm-hmm,
and exit potential of this business? Should I sell it for 3 to 4x? If it's an Amazon only channel and I've got great profits, or if I can get it to a 5 to 10x by multi-channeling that
mm-hmm,
product brand into either Shopify, paid traffic, social networks,
mm-hmm,
infomercials, ads, radio, television, audio ads. I mean, there's so many other ways to move that into the market once you know it's proven and to increase the
mm-hmm,
multiple valuations of that business. So we always start a business with the end in mind. And if you're
okay.
not doing that, you and I are not competing on the same page. If we run into each other on Amazon, someone's going to win.
I know who.
Well, I'm approaching it from a very different business perspective.
Yep.
And so I'm not, just thinking of it in terms of what my side hustle or hobby is. I'm treating it like a real business. And that's one of the things I want
Mm-hmm.
people to really understand. Business
Okay.
metrics, growth, upside potential, scalability, profitability, and exit. If those are not on the
Mm-hmm.
forefront of your thinking, they should be so that you have a fair market
Okay.
competition opportunity in this marketplace.
Gotcha. So shall we move forward to the questions?
Yeah. Do we have some questions? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, we
So
have some
first
questions.
question: how to identify the phase at which we should opt for an exit strategy? Like how to identify that? Because sometimes people get too connected with their brand and they're like, yeah, we should push it a little bit further, sell it
Well,
now.
like I said, don't marry
What's
your products and don't marry your brand. If you have the skills, knowledge,
mm-hmm.
and capital, you can go do it again. If you don't know what
Okay?
I'm talking about, right? Think of the model of this business, what I call the platinum principle, like
Okay.
the exit potential of a corporate boss who gets his golden parachute. In essence, I can
Okay.
pull the trigger on this business at any time I want to. When you
Mhm.
should do that is kind of your decision as a CEO operator. You should kind of get a feel for what you want your opportunity to be in it. That may change and
Okay.
drive a little in the future vision, but if you're looking out to 24 months, that's the minimum requirement of a business of this kind to sell. You need at least
Okay.
7 figures
Mhm.
in sales and a minimum of 15% net profit or EBITDA in the business to
Okay.
have a decent kind of exit. Obviously,
Okay.
increase those numbers and your exit looks great. So then that's going to be your number. What is your number? It could be the
Mhm.
profit potential of the cash flow that gets out of that business every month. It could be the exit potential in multiple revenues. And that number for you might look like 5 million or 3 million or 2 million or whatever that number is. You're going to
Mhm.
know it. But remember the very key components of selling a business, or just the opportunity you should know about selling a business. You always sell it on
Mhm.
the upside. You never
Okay.
sell it on the downside. Okay. And this is an 80% missed thing that most sellers do. When I see a lot of these businesses come across my desk, and I know they're
Mhm.
selling it on the downside. Well, it's a great opportunity. It's got upside potential, but it hasn't made any sales for the last 3 months. No thanks. Or yeah, it's been making sales for the
Mhm.
last 3 months, but what you're watching is revenue decrease over the last 12 months year to date, and profits are going down too. Like if you see
Mhm.
any of this, you are not necessarily giving someone an asset, you're giving them a job. You're giving them a
Yeah.
turnaround. And I'm looking to
Frustration.
tell you that if you want real potential, real revenue, real multiples of profit, multi-channel, as I already mentioned, create
Mhm.
upside potential for the business, additional products, additional brand opportunities that haven't been done, or even multiple channels that need to be fleshed out. And of course, make the
Mhm.
most profit in the business possible at time of exit. And that will give you
Okay.
the highest percentage, right? Making operational independence. So make sure you have some SOPs and OKRs built into there. Not necessarily
Okay.
employees, but contractors who are helping you do that. Make it very enticing for the buyer who steps in. So he's not buying a
Mhm.
job, or she's not buying a job, or whatever, and give that
Mhm.
opportunity a very sexy incline. Hey, it's got all the upside potential. Now, why would I do that? People
Mm.
ask me, why do I do that? Why would I sell? Why would I not just keep the cash flow going? Why am I not just save the profit? One word:
Mhm.
inflation. Money is
Okay.
worth more today than it is tomorrow. If I
Yeah.
can take a business out to 24 months and recoup 24 months of profit back at time of sale, what am I
Mhm.
going to do? I'm going to take that capital and
Amen.
put it back to work.
Agreed.
And I'm going to put those soldiers back to work in the market. I'm going to build another brand, and I'm going to go after it. Right. I'm going to put that because
Mhm.
inflation is there. It's a nasty indicator of the way things are. And I'm going to take that opportunity as soon as I get that product out and that business out to those numbers and do it within 24 months or less. I'm going to be setting that business
Okay.
up for exit.
Okay. It's like de-risking yourself.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, because number one, the capital opportunity here we have, of course, is a virtual business model with physical inventory. So I can write off that
Mhm.
inventory. That's an appreciable asset. Okay. A
Yeah.
physical asset, which is what I love about these models versus just a pure digital model. Okay.
Mhm.
And then I can take that inventory and I can always appreciate it. Even in a recessionary period, if my products are strong against the market, I can appreciate and move with the market. I can raise my prices and flex with the market. There's not a lot of business
Yeah.
models where you can do that.
Okay. The second question is, what Amazon ads CPC keep when Amazon ads CPC keep on increasing, how can we sustain or increase profitability over time?
So it depends upon which tier you're in. Remember, I mentioned the low, medium, and high tier. I would
Yeah.
consider low tier below $30. I would consider mid tier 50 to 100, and high tier 100 or plus. You can
Okay.
elevate any brand within those tiers. If you don't think that there's someone willing to buy your 1999 bicycle seat because you're currently selling it at 1999, and you don't believe
Mhm.
someone would spend 29, 49, or 99, then you misunderstood
Mhm.
the whole opportunity sitting right in front of you. So
Okay.
what do you need to do to increase profitability over time? It may not be that you can take more profit or gain more traffic and sales out of a lower tier product because that's all you got to make profit and you're already clearing a buck on that product. Hopefully you are,
Mhm.
because that would really suck. But let's say
Mhm.
you are, there's another version of that product to innovate in the market in tier one, tier two, or tier three. Take that opportunity, leverage the
Okay.
listing, the product, the manufacturer, and all the stuff you have in place, and move another product into the market at a higher tier. It will sell.
Okay. Okay. It's like using the first product to like push the second one, which you're
Exactly.
like.
Upsell.
Oh, okay.
There are
Gotcha.
3 tiers within Amazon of all products. Okay. There's the
Mhm.
$19 bike seller, the $49 bike seat buyer, and the $99+ bike seat buyer. 3 different
Mhm.
avatars of people will buy those bike seats. And your product
Yeah.
should have that opportunity too.
Cool. At what point should we be aiming for top organic spots and moving towards solely on profitability?
Those are not mutually exclusive. So,
Mm-hmm.
in other words, both. You want the top
Okay.
organic spot and you want the PPC spot. When I land on my keywords for my top products, I am there. You can't miss me.
Okay.
I've got the brands, the sponsor brands, ads, organic, and sponsor posts
Mm-hmm.
and ad posts. They're all there. Like, boop, there's me. Can't miss me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
So I want all of those. So yeah, profitability is going to be determined again by the numbers. If profitability to take top spot organic after PPC is not matching because you have
Mm-hmm.
$10 in profit, but it's going to cost you $25 to acquire the sale, you have a
Yeah.
different problem. It has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with ranking,
Okay.
right?
So, what would you recommend to go with? Some high ticket products or multiple mid ticket products within the
You
same
should have all
niche?
three.
All three?
All three. Brand
Okay.
recognition on Amazon is now 15 SKUs, folks. So if you don't have 15 SKUs selling in your brand, you are not going to
Yeah.
compete with the big dogs.
Yeah.
So you should have
Because
products in all tiers.
because Amazon has set like a requirement for the premium A plus as well, that you
Yep.
must have this X number of SKUs and brand module on it if you want to
And
offer
by
the premium A
Amazon's own
plus.
admission of its numbers, including the representatives we have that manage our accounts and
Mm-hmm.
help us do, they are telling us that most sellers, well over 50 to 60% of them, have less than
Mm-hmm.
5 branded SKUs in the system. What does that tell
Okay.
you?
You have to sell more.
Opportunity screams
Yeah.
opportunity that is being left on the table. So
Mm-hmm.
Hale, the answer is all of them, right?
Okay.
All of them within your
Okay.
brand. You will have a much bigger opportunity getting above 5 SKUs in the system, meeting the
Mm-hmm.
minimum requirements for even the premium tier of A plus
Mm-hmm.
content now that's available for those who have above A plus
Mm-hmm.
access because of their sales history. You've got to
Mm-hmm.
compete at those levels.
Okay. Okay. So when launching a brand, would you rather launch one product in a niche and test it, or launch multiple products that complement each other in a niche at the same time to increase
Yeah.
basket size while increasing cross selling?
Okay. So one business, one brand, multiple product
Mm-hmm.
variations of all shapes, size, colors across a distributed products
Mm-hmm.
within that brand, within that segment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take that brand, I'm going to move it into the market and register it. I'm going to trademark that brand. And then I'm going to basically
Mm-hmm.
keep telling the customer engine, okay,
Okay.
do you like this product? Yeah, that one does
Mm-hmm.
okay. You like this product? Yeah, we're selling a lot more. Do you like this product? Boom, 100 sales a day. There we go. Once
Mm-hmm.
I hit that, I'm now going to go gold mine digging and I'm going to exploit
Mm-hmm.
that vein for all the other products that Avatar is buying after that first
Mm-hmm.
tier that buy. So I'm going to let the engine tell me which
Mm-hmm.
products to sell. I'm not going to guess.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So what should be the average time for a brand to complete launch, grow, scale, and exit track?
24 months.
I
If you're
guess.
going to be Amazon tracked, you
Mm-hmm.
need within 12 months of the brand
Mm-hmm.
hitting up to 7 figures, you should be opening multiple channels. And then within the next 12 months, you have a exitable business. The ones that get the
Okay.
higher multiples will go and
Mm-hmm.
be more than 24 months old. And they will obviously
Mm-hmm.
have more than 15% net profit. You get to 18 to 25%. You have
Mm-hmm.
multiple millions. You're making great profit. You got good upside potential, operational independence and a great brand segment that's not been currently exploited even on multiple channels, that
Okay.
is when you should exit that business.
Okay. So how to make a profitable business from low price products?
Excellent. So you can go in and there's brand vertical and brand horizontal. I'm going
Yeah.
backwards, horizontal and vertical. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Growth within Amazon, right? How would we do that?
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a profitable business going from a low price product, you could sell bundles of that product. You could look for the additional and complementary product that the customer is
Mm-hmm.
currently buying and launch those products at a higher tier.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a really
Mm-hmm.
funny idea. Why not go back and list your same product at a higher price point and see what happens?
Okay. Okay. That's a new
Ever
one.
heard that one before?
No.
Okay. How
Okay.
about that, Mohammed?
Do you think one should directly start with Amazon for building a brand, or make an outside presence before jumping on Amazon?
That is a strategic decision. I have some friends that do very well on the direct to consumer
Mm-hmm.
channel, and they're very good at marketing. They know the traffic campaigns numbers. They
Mm-hmm.
understand the whole DTC world, which takes quite a bit of time and
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, and it's a lot of capital to get that testing and figured out if you don't understand what you're doing over there.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to get eyeballs on the offer. All right. You got to get
Okay.
traffic, which sounds really good because I'll just go launch a campaign on Amazon for $50 a day and I'll get traffic. Yeah. Doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
it's going to convert. When it does convert, it may be twice or 3 times the cost of the product. Maybe you got a
Okay.
conversion, you won. Congratulations. However, that was not profitable. What's your
Mm-hmm.
upsell? What's your AOV? What's your downsell? What's your email? What's your SMS? So these are going to be technical things that you need to decide if you know how to do and you can do very well. That may be where you start. I prefer to take brand new people with no experience into Amazon. All right. The traffic is there, the product is there, the validation is there. And then when from profits, they can hire someone to go do to the DTC channel and open that as a multi-segment. That's how I prefer to do it myself. But I have friends that would argue indifference and say, no, I'll go out here and do Shopify, etc. And then if it works, I'll come back to Amazon. Or I'll just launch some listings in Amazon and I'll get spillover traffic and that'll be okay with me. Again, it's a very strategic decision to weigh for yourself. I just personally have felt that new to novice sellers or even intermediate sellers who are doing less than $50,000 a month on Amazon are missing great opportunities to continue to exploit that channel larger first, get started in there, grow it larger, and then be moving multiple channels. There's a lot of knowledge it takes to run both of those things, as I mentioned earlier.
Have you noticed one thing that I'm like a big fan of Shark Tank? Okay, so I keep on like searching those products on Amazon, and most of them are not performing that well. Okay, and the major and the major problem which I have found is like they are selling at a way higher price as compared to the market. You can sell like $2-3 higher.
Yep.
But selling the same product, because whenever you launch or go to Shark Tank, a lot of competitors are also looking at you, and
they're going to go me
like,
too your products, because a lot of those Shark Tank products are me too products. A lot of the ASC products are me too products, and we won't launch a me too product in that because of that reason of saturation and eventually market capitulation. Those are going to be ones I would not personally go after.
Okay, so I have a quick question. Maybe you can answer.
Sure.
What are the functional aspects which you would consider for each of them? Like first is the launch process. What would the main functional aspect be which you would never ever want anybody to skip?
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, you have to do what we call prime the engine. You have to get the engine to understand in time. Okay, people want to tend to rush this. When we launched products back in 2011 and 12, 13, etc., it was like free game 7 days or less. We could rank products very quickly, and the engine would respond very differently than it does now. They put in a lot of compliance and policy issues to ensure people are not jacking with the system, faking reviews, doing the search and buy stuff, or doing anything that might look manipulative to the engine. And if you think you can outsmart the AI, you can't, so stop trying. Okay, just play within the rules. So we're going to look at a priming over 7, 21, 30 days. We're going to see that and want to see certain metrics occur, from unit session percentage to the amount of traffic to A costs and TA costs if we're running campaigns right out of the gate, which I recommend you do. And we're looking for all those metrics to sort of dial in within the first 30 to 45 days. If it's not organically being reciprocated very quickly, it could be a number of factors from price to competition. Maybe it's a little more saturated than we originally thought. And maybe the campaigns on the PPC side are just not reaching as much. But at a mechanical level, it really gets down to the aspect at the beginning of your unit session percentage, both desktop and mobile, right? Keep in mind, mobile is much more powerful now and actually has a larger audience than desktop on Amazon. So you need to really make sure you're mobile optimized for your listings when you go to market, and make sure you're hitting session percentages at least above 20% or higher, or you won't compete with us.
Okay. So what would be the functional aspects which you would consider for growth and scalability?
So again, lateral or vertical scaling of your brands across additional products, product lines, and a really simple phrase that is literally, the more products I launch on Amazon, the more money I'm going to make. The most important product example there was the bike seat. I'm not going to necessarily launch a bike seat and then go get into headlamps yet. I may launch variations of my seat across 3 different brand types and touch all the avatar bike seats. Why? Because if I have one manufacturer who's creating my bike seat, do you not think that one manufacturer could create the other 2 and make a 3-tiered versus going to another manufacturer at another place with more complexity and trying to find a different person to provide a different product? I can scale much faster very quickly by simply digging into the gold mine of the products within my current scope. As long as they're profitable, I shouldn't be off selling patio goods when I'm trying to sell bike seats. And I think a lot of people make that mistake. They think that they're going to be limited by traffic distribution and opportunity, and they're actually wrong. That's a scarcity mindset. I'm trying to pull you into an abundance mindset. Okay. If you're not selling a bike seat at the 3 different tiers and you're not making more than 50, 100,000 a month, you're still sort of thinking that there's scarcity here because that's all on Amazon already. It's there. Trust me. So you have to be looking at how to take that vertical and brand vertical into your additional product lines to gain more sales, gain more profitability. Just make sure every product meets that customer avatar and sales profitably. Pencils in.
Cool, cool. So I guess this is it. Do you have anything, any last words to say with the community?
Well, no, are those all the questions? I guess I just want to make sure I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
miss. Okay, well,
yeah.
hey,
These
those
are.
are great questions. I think
Mm-hmm,
in summary, I just want to reiterate the concept of building this business with the end in mind. I want to make sure we're
mm-hmm,
very clear that there are aspects of business building that I will risk more upfront to ensure the longevity and stability of the business on the upside
mm-hmm,
potential than most people are willing to
mm-hmm.
consider or take into mind when they launch this. So I'm going
Okay.
to spend in the first year 50 to 100K in startup cost and capitalization, where others might think 5K is something that's going to get me to market. Again, we're not
Mm-hmm.
competing at the same level of business, right? And so
Okay.
if you want to compete at that level of business, you're going to have to go into the market to do what it takes to compete. You're going to have
Okay.
to go into the market with a little more war chest. You're going to have to go in with the right knowledge and strategies to make that competition work. And so,
Mm-hmm.
this business of private label branding is not a side hustle game. Now, you might want to
Yeah, it's
drop
the
ship,
first
try
time.
wholesale FBA, or go play with one of those toss breaking. By the way, they do break the toss.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more power to you. You might make some short-term capital, but I will tell you from personal
Mm-hmm.
experience, having scaled an FBA wholesale business to over 18 months to 12 people and 10 truck rolls a week of 18-wheeler
Mm-hmm.
trucks, it is not as profitable or as fun as you might think. And
Yeah.
when we did it, Amazon was a lot more lenient on the terms of service.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
they're very strict on the terms of service. They have moved, as we had talked about over the last 5 years, moved people into private label branded expectations and requirements. They're making it easier for brand sellers to sell in the marketplace and gain more traction. And they're making it much more difficult for all the other business models. Okay. So if
Okay.
you're really going to be
Okay.
serious, approach it as private label branding, and you will have both upside potential, opportunity, and of course, an asset driven business model that is worth something in
Cool.
the end that someone wants to buy. So keep that in
Cool.
mind.
Before signing off, we have another question. So,
Oh,
how
sure.
you calculate the estimated budget for launching a single product brand?
So we have a 90-day cash flow plan that product fits into. And as it goes to
Okay.
market with the cash flow, as it goes to market with a cost and all the product development and stuff tied into it, we want to see that
Mm-hmm.
product turn a positive ROI in 90 days. If all of those
Okay.
things are looking up, then we know that every 90 days it's going to go into profit, it's going to go into growth, and it's going to have upside.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Mm-hmm.
if you were to take a deep dive into my case studies, you would find that at months 6 through 12, that's where all of my people's brands explode. So they're spending the
Okay.
first 6 months launching, building, testing, and growing, and then the market reciprocates that effort within months 6 to 12, and things can turn on
Mm-hmm.
really fast. Daniel went from in May of this year to June, he went from 150,000 to 300,000 a month in sales in 1 month. He leveled up to the next tier of distribution because now he met
Mm-hmm.
all the criteria to take over that seller traffic. Amazon said, "Hey, you're
Mm-hmm.
the better seller. Here's more traffic." Okay.
Okay.
So for 4 months, he was at 75,000 a month. And then he jumped to 150,000 in 1 month. And the next month he jumped to 300,000. What did he do differently?
Mm-hmm.
Did he put in 100,000 in PPC campaigns? Did he launch
No.
50,000 new products? Did he run a whole bunch of TikTok campaigners? No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon's tiered traffic for his brand profile, seller profile, and products, all of the metrics inside his
Mm-hmm.
account beat the next level of competitors. And he won the traffic and
Okay.
distribution. And he's barely tapping into 1% of the marketplace.
Cool. So we have another question here. What should
Sure.
be the strategy for you to launch a single product brand in this Q4?
Absolutely. So it's always great to test on that additional traffic. Just don't do it in this period prior to the Black Friday sales, or you will get eaten alive,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a bunch of tire
Okay.
kicker traffic. They're going to click on your
Yeah.
PPCs. They're doing pre-shopping. They're not actually in buying mode yet. So I would wait
Yeah.
until after Black Friday to launch your product. I know that sounds really weird.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get it done
Mm-hmm.
on Black Friday, you might have a little bit of a windfall out of the gate. Just understand the
Yes.
competition is going to be a little more difficult, but there's going to be a lot more
Mm-hmm.
traffic than any other time during the year, except for the Prime days, which we got one coming up in
Mm-hmm.
November. Then you're going
Yeah.
to want to take advantage of that. Just be ready for it, because that
Mm-hmm.
traffic is there. And don't do it as a seasonal product, of course. If it's a winter-based product, sure, but you're going to watch that slope off really hard after March of
Yeah.
next year. If it's an evergreen product, get it in the market and test it. Additional traffic and opportunity, you might take a lift, okay, that helps boost you into the next year. If it's a summer
Mm-hmm.
product, don't launch it. If it's a fall product, don't launch it. You understand where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Okay.
should give you
So
your answer.
I guess this is it. Thank you so much
All
for
right,
giving
good.
us the time and sharing
Yes,
your
sir.
knowledge. This is the first time I'm hearing such unique answers. I'm gonna be honest with it, and I'm glad I have connected with you. And so, for sure, we will be connecting in the future as well.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for the great
Same,
questions. I
same here.
appreciate it.
Same.
I'm honored. I appreciate you. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.
Same here. Bye bye.